What is going on, everybody? This is Rawstarr of the Burbank Misfits. And my co-host was just in a car accident trying to get to do this podcast. He will be joining us shortly, however, but and he will pop on. So hopefully he does still arrive. But until then, we will, continue having a good day. And I hope that everybody's okay that was in the accident. Anyway, today we have a very special guest who we finally have the opportunity to have on. She has been in the industry for a while. I met her at what I call an infamous Jake party a while back, and she's always like a ball of fun. We have Miss Naudi Nala. How you doing, Naudi?
Thank you. That introduction was great. I'm good.
So Naudi, for the pitiful souls out there who do not know who you are, please tell the world who is Naudi?
I'm an adult performer.
I love it when I love when folks say it like that because it's like well, I do porn. It's like, but it's always more to you. I mean, you can say, oh, well, look, check this out. I am naughty. I like poetry. I like the piano. I dance. I hike. I go see nature or whatever. My favorite quote in the world is, "It's never too late to be who you might have to see, who you might have been."
Oh yeah, George Elliot. Yeah, which I regret putting George Elliot and not putting her actual name, but it's fine. I should have changed that on avn.com.
You could say it now. I mean, like
okay. Well, that quote is by Mary Ann Evans. She wrote under a pseudonym as a man because she could not become famous as a female writer. So
what year did this come out? Did you say
what year?
I'm not familiar with who she is.
Mary Ann Evans is a English writer. She was born in the early 1800s, but that was obviously like the Victorian era. But the Victorian era was really hard for women to make a stance for themselves. And
that's why I was wondering what year it was from. When you said 1800s,
I don't know the exact date for that quote.
No, I was looking for the time era because I know I don't know if you know this. My degree in college is history, so
really?
Yeah, I'm a history major.
I love history. Like it was always my favorite subject. It was just so easy for me in school.
For me, it always just clicked. Above I think any other subject, and I kind of blame my auntie for that because she used to always quiz me on random history stuff every time I went to her home. So after a while, that stuff just stuck in my head, and I kept doing all these history bowls. And I've only ever lost one history bowl of the 5 I've been in. And the one I lost, I believe the question was complete BS. And via history has proven that question was BS. And the question was, when did slavery end? And I asked back, I said, do you want the Emancipation Proclamation? Because that didn't free all slaves. Do you want when they signed the 13th Amendment? Because that still didn't solidify. Do you want with the last slave quarters closed in 1946? I mean, what day do you want? And they said, well, that's not a real answer. You got to answer. And they wanted the EP. But I'm like, that's incorrect. And on paper, the last state didn't sign the dang 13th Amendment until February 7th, 2013.
Yeah, I actually really appreciate that your people in your family took the time to educate you on history as well too, because I really think a lot of it starts with parenting and or just who your environment is as a young kid. Because I started reading when I was 3 years old. My parents would always have books around us, so history is obviously just a lot of reading anyways. But I do like history more because you can dig and find, at least in our generation, we can find different sides now. I know that history has been so whitewashed forever, and that's something I really dislike about history.
One
But
thing that
I just appreciate like knowing what happened in the past. I think people in a lot in this generation are forgetting that you have to still remember what happened in the past so you don't repeat it.
well, the thing is like what's crazy right now, and I've said this to some people, is that even with the current pandemic they were currently in right this second, we're doing the same thing that we did before with the 1918 one. Everything,
Yep.
everything, like line for line almost, we are repeating. Everybody was protesting masks. Same thing happening now. Everybody was rioting and whatever because they didn't want to wear masks. Same thing has happened now. Everybody was calling it a hoax. Same thing that's happening now. Everybody was blaming China.
Same thing that's happening now.
And it's like, it's just always a big repeat. And don't get me wrong, this one, I believe, yeah, it started amongst China. The one in 1918, they discovered that it could have started in Kansas. And because we were in World War One, that, the soldier, just took it over there,
Yeah.
and it got a lot worse because how it was just spread around,
You're honestly right though, because the correlation is really strong between both time periods, and I don't know, our country never changes. It's just so disappointing, especially for people who are history buffs, because we definitely can see the similarities. I mean, even if we want to go back to the 1960s, of course, our generation wants to repeat the 1960s all over again. And I don't get why we cannot get over our racial divides in this country, but it's disappointing.
I believe it's always going to be racial divides, mainly because there are people out here that do not know. They do not know like about pigmentation, the separation from people in general from the start of how everybody gets pigmentation in their skin, whatever. From people going to the Cayman Islands or the Caucasus Islands, I'm sorry, or people going, separation, and you have, the world slowly, expanding, and us as people breaking apart.
Mm-hmm.
Then because of that, that's why if you're on the equator, you're darker, and then if you're further up,
You
like
were
toward
lighter.
Europe or Greenland or countries like that, and yes, we all have different pigmentations because of the longevity we've been. Like people were in that area.
Yeah, it is regionally based.
So I love. For me, I love everybody for who they are as an individual, from what they can, from how they behave, whatever. But some people don't see that. People just see what color someone's skin is, and yes, I would say, yeah, it probably is the first thing that you see. Like if you do a blind test, and you can probably hear it in people's voices too, because like
Yeah.
my voice is really deep when I'm really not trying to change my voice, because like I try like when I normally talk to people on the street, whatever, I really try to talk higher. But when I'm really relaxed, my voice is actually deeper than this. So like it's a little like deeper than this. So if you hear my voice, you will automatically know that I'm a minority, a black minority. So I can't hide that anymore. But yeah, and then people all automatically are going to think negatively about that. And it's just we just live in a world where people want something to hate, you know, and because we live in a world full of hate, they will find any reason, even if the reason is so illogical, they just want to go with it, you know.
Yeah. I actually agree with your whole voice thing. It's funny. I moved so much as a kid, so everybody in my family just has kind of like weird accents because we've all been through so many different states. But I always get asked that, like, why is your voice deeper? But it really just, I think a lot of it does depend on the situation. I know in a terrible sense that some of that plays into people who are minorities, especially Black people, because it's as if people always assume we're going to be idiots and we're going to be stupid. So sometimes in situations you have to have different inflections in your voice. You don't sound like the ignorant monkeys that some racist people think you are. And it's always disheartening for me because, you know, my dad was born in 1970. So him and my mom were really that first generation of kids that were integrated in America, the desegregation of America, because my dad's mother went to segregated schools all throughout her life until she was a senior in high school. So, you know, their two depictions on America and the treatment of Black people is vastly different. But my father still had issues with people saying, oh, you're smart for a Black man. Black people shouldn't talk like that. Oh, you actually like English? And that's the same shit I would still get. So I'm very aware that this country doesn't want to let go of these racial stereotypes and these racial biases, but it's disappointing because it's like almost every minority has to take this weight upon them in America, and we have to constantly fight a stereotype.
I agree. And I just think that it sucks because, like, for example, when it comes to me, before we started the podcast, we were talking about, I was telling you my degrees and stuff. Now, I do not like to dress the parts, whatever, and I'm always really laid back. I have dreadlocks, whatever, and then people automatically assume that, you know, I have talent as a photographer or whatever, but I'm not that intelligent. And then when I tell people like, yeah, I'm a doctoral candidate, it's like, wait, what, huh? You just automatically just don't see that. I just don't use my degrees because I have a very stable day job. So it's kind of like I love what I do, whatever, but you know, like education just comes natural, whatever. And people just assume because you're a minority or you're mixed, whatever, that
Mm-hmm.
you come from either you either come from a trailer park area, you come from the ghetto,
Mm-hmm.
the hood, whatever. You failed at every subject at school, especially math. They just assume you're worse at math. You don't comprehend correctly. You're prone to violence and stuff like that. And it's like, wow, you got all that just because my skin complexion is a certain color,
Yeah.
and it's
And it's
crazy. It's ridiculous. And now, don't get me wrong. I feel that we are just repeating the same things from our ancestors, whatever. And there's an interview I did when I was in college, that I said that racism isn't racism isn't well, you're not born racist. You're not born racist. It is taught,
yep.
and that's all we do. We teach people, you know, we teach our people to, you know, hate. We don't do it like some people don't do it intentionally, but it is something that is constantly, you know, cycled.
Yeah, and it's completely unfair. I don't know. I'm going to paraphrase this quote and probably butcher it, but I know that Donald Glover, Childish Gambino, has a quote about it's terrible being a Black man in America because when you walk in the room, you already know what everybody is thinking about you. And that just goes to, you know, portray how America still pushes this propaganda of who Black people are, that a Black woman is always mad and angry and a Black man's a criminal, and they just will never let it go.
I agree.
Yeah, but I mean, I don't know, maybe it's just who I am. I like to be hopeful in some situations, but I do think that the next generation is better than, it's really who we have in office, which is like my grandparents' generation, even older than my grandparents. They're still in office. So once we can get out all of the kids that went to segregated schools, once we can remove that, I do think America will be a more fair place. Obviously won't get rid of everything because people are still racist, but a lot of it I think has to do with the generation now too. There's a huge generation gap between what America really is and who we are still electing.
You know, this comes down to, and I don't want to make this a Republican Democrat thing, but it comes down to those powers, because, you know, if we want to say as people that certain parties or certain people are not racist, but then we use racial things to identify them, and I'm talking about people using the Nazi flag for certain things, whatever. If you are a World War II. If you're a World War II vet and you're still around, you would not be out there waving the swastika because they fought against the Germans. But you want to use that to identify your support of a U.S. president, but you're using the same rhetoric that they used in Nazi Germany. You know,
it was exactly the same.
Don't get me wrong. I don't think that all Republicans or people who support Republicans are racist or negative, et cetera, et cetera. I feel that just like many Democrats, we blindly support our party or that party without being mindful of everything that that person represents.
Yes, and I'm really happy you said that. And I'm not big on party lines either, which is why I did support Bernie Sanders. But moreover to the point, I supported him because he was the one getting arrested during the civil rights movement in the 1960s. None of these other politicians can sit there and tell me that they care as much about race as somebody who got arrested. And he is Jewish himself, which we don't really respect Jewish people in this country either, which is pitiful. But he can't even get elected because he's a Jew, or he can't even get elected when he has a good track record for supporting race. And it's because he's not within those party lines and he's independent. And I'm happy you brought up that point, because that is, America's become super divisive and they want to just pick party lines. But the more progressive thinkers are people that don't want to be stuck into a party, because we do want to check everybody and we want to make sure that who we are electing and where our money goes is actually something that we support.
I feel that a big thing that we need to, realize is that when it comes to Bernie Sanders, I feel that honestly he just got robbed by the Democratic Party because they don't want him in there. They don't want him in there, period.
Yes.
And as somebody who, felt the burn, as they say, I'm a libertarian. I always say that I'm a registered libertarian. I've been a registered libertarian for 14 years. So when it comes to my party and people who nominate and stuff like that, and I look at the Democrat and the Republican nomination, I can see that they try to make the world believe that they are in a primary going to select who they're going to nominate, when they don't really do that. Because I feel that certain people stayed on the ballot to really throw off everything else. Don't get me wrong, I love Elizabeth Warren, but she knew that her time was done, and she stayed on the ballot Huh?
I completely agree with that because, I mean, it's really saddening to me. It's not like I have anything against Joe Biden, but as soon as he entered the race, I had said it to my family that they did this on purpose because they do not want Bernie Sanders on the ticket. And they knew Bernie Sanders would win this Democratic ticket, but the only person that had a chance was the person that ran with Obama. And that the DNC could do a complete coup like they did in 2016 to have Hillary as the nominee and not Bernie Sanders, even though that's who the people want. The party lines don't want somebody like Bernie Sanders or Andrew Yang. They want somebody who's set into their party lines, but the people want somebody who's in the middle, like a Yang or a Sanders, somebody who is just a progressive thinker.
CW was a Yang anchor, so he was all about
I loved Andrew Yang, and I thought he might have been the best compromise because everybody kept saying age was a factor. I get it, Bernie Sanders was old, Biden's old, Trump is old as well. I get it. Everybody who was a contender was old. But Yang would have been our youngest presidential nominee we've ever had in history. So they can't sit here. America just likes to give excuses, because if they really wanted somebody young, they would have paid attention to maybe a Pete Buttigieg or an Andrew Yang, but they didn't give a shit. And it is completely placed into party lines, and it disgusts me. And I grew up in DC as a kid. Yeah, I mean, I grew up in DC as a kid, so I was in DC for 9/11, because my dad is in the military. I'm from a long list of military family members and a lot of veterans in my family. But it's just hard to blindly support a government that's just never going to help you. It never cares. That's just completely bought out. And none of the veterans in my family are blind to this. I mean, they should be getting more help than they do. So it's very disappointing what America has become. And we still preach, we're the greatest country in the world. And I feel like that is an excuse that people say to never fix the problems that we really have in this country.
I feel that we are, we have a lot of benefits that a lot of other countries do not have, which puts us in a situation where we are a country that has greatness. However, until we acknowledge some things are wrong and some things need to be changed and some things need to be altered, we're never going to be the greatest country in the world. Like until we acknowledge that we're still a country full of hate, that we have certain organizations that are hateful and spread hate, until we acknowledge that, being discriminated against a certain race is wrong, or until we realize that, police brutality is still occurring. Until we acknowledge that, we're stuck. When it like, and I can't think of his name right now, but it was a few years ago who killed a person that was Caucasian, and he went to jail quick. They didn't it was almost no trial. He went to jail quickly. But when it comes to all these other cases in the last 8 years, and it's always like a question mark. Well, what was the victim doing? Whereas with this one, it was all the police people,
Yeah, I guess that's the basis of what bothers me, is that when you're a minority, it becomes, what were they doing wrong? So they always assume a minority's doing something wrong. But they have this white privilege. And to me, I also feel like it's a rich privilege. I think your money and your power takes you very far in this world. So I've always liked Malcolm X because he was always preaching about the issue of generational wealth and how some people are never given a fair chance. So I really think at this point it's rich and poor around the world. And that's where the biggest division is, because it's not just America. Of course, other countries have their problems, and I appreciate the freedoms we have in America, but it just seems like a global issue now at this point, where the greedy people never care to move the money back down and help society or the fucking environment. And I have to cuss at that point, because I have been preaching about the environment since I was 12 years old. And I was always just called a hippie ever since I was in middle school. You're just a hippie child. But it wasn't the point of being a hippie child. I'm not a hippie. My grandparents were hippies. I just want people to care about the environment more than they care about themselves. And that is the hardest thing to get this world to understand.
I agree. Like, I cannot say that I'm the biggest person that takes care of the environment, because I'm not. I do recycle. I do the little things that I can do. But I know there is so much more that I can do as a person for the environment than I do, you know. So I'm not going to sit here and lie and say that I am, but I do what I need to do to, you know, do some parts.
Well, the biggest thing for me, and whenever I talk about the environment, I don't like when like everyday citizens feel like it's on them, because it's really not on us. If the governments actually gave a shit about the environment, things would have changed. Because when we elected Jimmy Carter in the 1970s, he put solar panels on the White House. He was trying to get us off of gas. He would have put us 40 years ahead, and almost 50 years ahead now, of all these other countries, and what Europe is doing, what Germany is doing, what Australia is doing. So it's Americans' fault as who we elect and what we care about. Now, an everyday citizen, we can only vote for one person. We can only do so much. So, I mean, yes, decreasing your carbon footprint is extremely helpful, but it is at the global scale now. It takes France, it takes Britain, it takes Russia, it takes China, and it takes America. It takes those 5 superpowers that love to say they control the world. It's going to take them. And if America and Russia don't give a shit and China isn't changing anything, nothing's going to happen. So I hate that citizens themselves take such a burden upon it, because we can't do that much. We can't go and change our power grid. You know, it's like, it really is, unfortunately, about voting, because there's nothing else in our democratic republic that we can do but find new representatives. But it's a sad state we're in with the environment. And like I said, I don't like everyday citizens to feel guilty about it. You know, if you recycle and you're doing your best, there's not much else we can do. It is the government, and it's who we elect at this point.
I agree. But, you know, the world didn't like Jimmy Carter. That's why he only did 4 years.
I know. And then they went to Reagan, who is exactly what Trump is now. I mean, at least Reagan was a governor before, but...
You put an actor in there.
Yes.
Yes, because someone asked me, I want to say 2 years ago, who do I think was the worst president of my lifetime? And I said, it was Reagan. Because don't get me wrong, and I said, I'm not going to include Trump in my decision right now, because he's not done yet, and because either if he is done in November, he was the worst of my lifetime. But just not counting him, you have Reagan, Clinton, Bush, and Obama. Now, Reagan was clearly the worst. You know.
Yes.
And I believe George was one step above him. Then, like, Clinton was good, but it was just like he has his own issues that left a negative imprint.
Clinton's economic advisor, Robert Reich, it was the best move that Clinton ever did. It was who he put in his cabinet, who he had around him, that really helped Bill Clinton. But no, honestly, I don't know. I hate Reagan. I wasn't even alive for Reagan. I think he is the worst president of modern history. We have not changed off of his economic policies. And all we do is keep the rich richer and keep the poor poorer. And I am actually very disappointed, because I wish Obama would have done more for poor people. And it's just so disappointing to
me.
The
thing is like, this is what I want to tell everybody who questions some things like that. I say, when it comes to Obama and things that he tried to put through, we have to realize that it's the same stuff that we deal with now. When the Senate and the Congress are not in agreement on certain policies,
everything gets filibustered, nothing ever gets passed.
Nothing gets passed. And so, like, we deal with this a complete cycle of nothing going on.
Yep.
And then I break it down to the 4 year. Like, I believe the 4 years is good for president. However, when it comes to the 4 years, you got 1 year of the president, like, either fixing or building up on what the previous president did. So his first year, you can't really question it because he's still doing the same stuff the previous president did, whatever. So that's not really a good thing to measure on. The year 2 and year 3, those are the 2 years you can really judge him on. And then the fourth one is just him getting ready for re-election or him doing all he can to put a good face on so he can get re-elected, you know?
Yeah, and I know that he tried. I just think he dropped the ball when he bailed out the auto industry. I think he should have pushed for a reform of gas vehicles, maybe pushed for electric vehicles. He could have tried to change that because he does have executive orders that he didn't utilize as much. But I also understand that it's his personality. He is a very calm person, and he wasn't going to just change who he was. So I still love Obama. I mean, he's definitely the best president I've experienced in my life, but it is hard for the president to get their view across, though. So I get that. I wish a public option maybe would have been pushed. Maybe we could have got universal health care with just a public option to get us farther away from the fucking insurance companies, you know, and I come from the medical industry, so my hate with the insurance companies is much different. But there's just a few things that I wish he would have been a hard ass on, but I completely understand what you're saying. And those first 4 years, you worry a lot about re-election. So he came out really nice and calm for that reason. So I understand.
I would say, like, so when it comes down to it, right now in my lifetime, I've only had 16 years with a Democratic president. And the other 20 years of my life has been, you know, a Republican. So it's like I can really see the difference. I know I can be aware of when the world was, you know, in shambles and when it's not in shambles, you know. And majority of the time, it gets really bad when red is in office, you know.
Yeah.
But they want to keep their financial status situated.
Yeah, that's why I said it's more classism. It's always kind of been that way throughout society, even with the monarchs back in medieval times. And we still had monarchies. It was hugely based on classism. And it just feels like we're moving more towards this whole idea of classes throughout the world, because it doesn't sometimes matter where you live. We are not paying people fairly anywhere. So poor people are poor everywhere. And the greedy people do not want to fucking share it.
What pisses me off, and pissed me off a lot, is the fact that when someone says they only make blah, blah, blah an hour, or they say they got to do this and this to get in, you know, for their children or whatever, and then they say, well, get a better job. It's like, I mean, it's like, well,
my God.
You know how hard it is to get jobs out here when in certain areas they don't hire people, whatever, and then like they don't pay enough for people to live on, and and they keep raising the cost of food and the cost of living in certain impoverished areas, and it's kind of like, like I remember milk is what, like $2.49, $2.69 around there, depending on the area you live in.
That's probably the average, yeah.
I remember when milk was $1 less than that, And the thing is, a dollar might not seem like a lot, but how much is a dollar really worth? If you think about, if all the food that you used to consume 10 years ago was $1 less now, and you could live a little bit better if you get paid $5 now, $5 an hour now. This is an example. Okay, and then all the food went up $1, and you're still getting paid $5.
$5 an hour, yeah.
So you're raising the cost of living, eating, stability, but you're not raising how much you're paying people.
Yeah.
And basically all that does is put people in a full classism situation, in a situation where they're not maintaining or building wealth, and
yeah.
And like I will say this: there are places that will give people who have wealth free crap. I've seen it, whatever, and it's kind of like, so we want to keep them getting richer and richer while we're getting poor, while they're getting poorer and poorer. And when some people end up on food stamps or other governmental help agencies, whatever, we want to judge them because they can't, provide for their family, whatever. Then, like, with what they're trying to do right now, get rid of Roe v. Wade, whatever. It's kind of like, okay, you're gonna force this woman. You're gonna force this woman to have a kid, whatever. And like, don't get me wrong. I've said numerous of times, like, personally, I'm against abortion. However, I feel that as a male, as a person who cannot reproduce, cannot birth a child, who cannot say that I want this done or this inside my body, I cannot tell a woman what to do with her body. So I feel that it needs to be out there, and it needs to be left up to her because it is her body. So I feel that the law, that needs to be there. So regardless of my personal opinion about it, and it's kind of like, so if you want to get rid of abortion, you say it's because of your religious belief or because it is in the Bible, whatever. Okay, I can understand that. But if that is your reasoning, we need to get rid of tattoos because that's in the Bible. You're not supposed to get tattoos. We need to get rid of ear piercings. We need to get rid of cheeseburgers. I'm serious. You're not.
Yeah.
In the Bible, you said you're not supposed to mix meat and dairy.
Yeah. And actually, I'm happy you said that. Edgar Cayce was like a big health craze person. Talked about a lot of biblical stuff as well, to what food you aren't supposed to mix. You're not supposed to put cream in your coffee as well. That's a huge religious thing that's not supposed to be mixed. So all these people that go to Starbucks every day are essentially going against the Bible. There's a lot of weird stuff in there that you're not supposed to do.
And one big thing, because I wrote this yesterday on my Twitter, and the very last thing I wrote, it was about the abortion side, and I said, well, you're not supposed to get divorced, period. That's a no. But one big thing on there, it says, and this is crazy, if you get raped by somebody, in the Bible, it says that they are supposed to marry you. You gotta get married. That's in the Bible. That's in the Bible.
Terrible. Terrible.
That's in Deuteronomy. Deuteronomy 22. I forget the verse right now, but it's in the Bible. It says if someone rapes you, you got to marry them.
It's just awful for people to still be believing things and reading this. If people accept
I understand that people
it as folklore and maybe a historical book, it would be better.
No, I don't get me wrong, I'm a Baptist and I believe, and I mean I believe in God, but I do also believe that certain things were at different times, you know, and I feel that back then, like, because back then your life expectancy was like 30, like really wasn't as long, whatever, you know, and times have changed drastically, you know, and I feel that when it comes to certain things in the Bible, because we came, like, people came to the USA to escape the tyranny of living by the church, you know.
Yeah.
And that's why I fully accept that separation from church and state. So yeah, I don't agree with the fact of having to say the Pledge of Allegiance in the original form, you know. And it's like, okay, like I get it. You want to they want to put prayer back in school, and I'm like, well, you know, everybody doesn't have the same belief system. Like I don't know your religious belief, but like I'm Baptist. I know Chris is Muslim, so it's kind of like CW is Muslim, and it's like
that's so funny. My dad was baptized as a Baptist, but when he was in the military, he felt more into, he put his dog tags as Muslim, but he just enjoyed the culture more. So it's kind of funny that that's the two that you guys would have, because that's exactly what my father was.
Yeah, like, and the thing is like, since I actually tried to, you know, research everybody, and then get so many, like Jew and Muslim, they basically have so much in common. It's ridiculous. And
Okay, now, if I am not religious at all, to be honest with you, but I love to study world religions, and I'm happy you said that, because every monotheistic religion roots itself from Zoroastrianism, and that Zoroaster god is the same exact type of paintings that we still paint as Jesus or Muhammad. They haven't gotten rid of the same premise, which is this old world religion that Judaism, the Nation of Islam, and Christianity all based their beliefs on. I'm just very happy you said that, because they're all so closely related.
I know what you're talking about, but I'm not as familiar, so I can't speak on it as much because I'm not fully familiar with it. But I do know what you are referring to.
Yeah, and I know some people might find it offensive when we say how closely related they are, but it's not even. It's just, when you study world history, monotheistic religions are the newest religions. We've always been polytheistic, and it was always multiple gods, you know, like Native American-based religions where they worship the sun, they worship nature, they worship water, you know, multiple things. Well, the monotheistic religions were all pulled from the same exact idea, which was Zoroaster, this guy who was a prophet that spoke to God. And ever since then, we haven't changed what the main premise of world religions are, which is now monotheistic, even though original religions for human beings were polytheistic, multiple gods and multiple beings can be spirits and talk to me. I find it very fascinating because I'm not religious myself, so I just find it very interesting how all of them are kind of deeply woven into each other.
I mean, that makes sense. I understand that completely. I mean, when it comes to religion in general, I always see it as a very touchy subject, no matter what, because everybody. Because even if you have you're Christian in general, a lot of people still have different takes on everything. So
yeah.
So it's just, that's why I feel that like we need to get to the point where we don't try to force things onto people.
Yes.
But to circle back a little bit, just to make sure that we do, talk about this for a second, really quick. So, Miss Naughty, how'd you get in the industry? We didn't even know that. Oh, that's right. You do work in the industry. How did that happen?
It was definitely an accumulation of things. I try to think of it as like an avalanche, and it was just a bunch of things barreling down all at once. But I was a stripper. I started dancing when I was 18. So that was kind of my first step into the door was stripping. I enjoyed it, but I just wanted more. I couldn't really get out of New Mexico. I felt very stuck. And I have been contacted by hussy models on sexy jobs, and I didn't know if they were real. So my first inclination was just not to buy into it. I had texted them a bit, but I just felt like almost like a too good to be true, that I didn't want to risk going out and seeing anybody and staying with somebody if it wasn't legitimate. So I was a manager in the mall. I was working 4 jobs at once just to make ends meet, to pay my bills and everything. I originally moved out of my parents' house when I was 17. Right after I graduated high school, I moved out. So there's a lot of just like a hustling period for me. But the area I live in, Albuquerque, is very high in crime. We were number 1 in Grand Theft Autos for years and years. We finally got passed by Bakersfield, California, but we were number 1 in property theft. Every time I would go out to a party, somebody was getting something stolen, somebody was getting shot. It was just a lot of just like a bad environment. And I love the nature out here, and my intermediate family lives out here. So, there's a lot of attachment to being here, but I was just tired of it. I wanted something new. I couldn't get anything new. So one day I'm watching Hot Girls Wanted, the Netflix documentary, and Hussy Models was on there. So, things clicked in my brain, and I was like, wait, these are the people that were messaging me. I was working as a caregiver at the time in an after-school program, and I didn't want to just leave in the middle of the school year. But I told my parents that if Donald Trump won the election, that I was going to go do porn, because I had found a legitimate agency, and this country was never going to help me. I didn't want to work 4 jobs forever. I didn't just want to be in bad situations forever. I wanted to travel. I wanted to see more of the country again. So he won, and I joined.
We can jokingly thank Donald Trump for you being an adult entertainer.
Some positive things came out of it. So.
That's one thing. That's one thing we can thank Donald for.
Yeah.
But that's crazy though. That's an interesting story, and I know a lot of people who are in the industry. They have, stories about how they just fell into it, or they were stripping, whatever, and then it was just a happenstance of someone messaging them like, "Hey, do you want to do porn?" And don't get me wrong, I know that back in the day, this is a long time ago, because I started doing stuff around the industry in 2008, so I've been around for a while, and I've never worked directly for an agency, but it was a point where a lot of people used to hit me up on. This is Twitter-ish or MySpace stage, whatever. That's I said. MySpace. But because a message me was asking about could I introduce them to people, whatever, or to help them get in. And this is when, like, in the last 12 years of my time around the industry, it has gotten a lot easier to get in. Back then, it was still really hard to get in. They were more stringent on people they got in. And it's very interesting now how things have changed, because it used to be a lot more that they didn't really seek you out. They wanted you to seek them out. Then, like, I'm not going to say what companies, but a lot of the practices that they did in order to see if you should be a performer, a lot of that has changed. Which that's one thing I'm glad about, that has changed. That's why I'm not going to say what companies that I know were really doing that more than others. And I'm glad that and because what year did you actually join? Did you join like around the time that I met you for the first time, or because I know you were newer then, but I didn't know how new you were.
I joined in 2017.
Okay, so you were probably around for a year when I met you then.
Yeah, the first year I was in was so hard. I didn't really get any work and really start doing much until 2018. The only people that really gave me a chance my first year was Freak Mob Media. And they were a very new company themselves. So my connection with them is kind of crazy, actually. I did my worst scene. Well, the scene is good.
Sorry,
the scene looks good.
I just had a flashback to another podcast. So, no,
okay.
We had Zach Cummings on already. And I jokingly brought up, like he did a scene with you, and he did like a dance move right in the middle of the and I just thought that's so hilarious when I saw that. And I'm like,
yeah, it went viral, like insane. I had so much people from my hometown messaging me, "Is this you?" And I was just shocked how much people it actually reached. But yeah, I helped him get into the industry, actually. He messaged me. He was from like Indiana or Illinois. I want to say Indiana.
He is from the same city that CW grew up in.
Okay, yeah, because
we're all from Indiana.
Okay, yeah, because he was still working at a hotel and everything, and he messaged me and was talking about getting into the industry, and I thought he was a cool dude, so I FaceTimed him. I told him that, I was friends with the people at Freak Mob, that they're looking for other young guys to get in, and I guess now the rest is history, because everybody knows everybody's seen that video. So
I just because I know when he was one, I had to bring it up. Like, that was so hilarious. Like that what caught my attention with him in general. I know you had posted it, and I'm like, my man is up here dancing. That is hilarious.
Yeah, I don't even know if I posted that we shot together or anything, because he didn't tag me in it. So I had commented, "You didn't tag me."
I think you had retweeted it, and that's how I saw it.
Yeah, and after I commented that, a bunch of people were like, "Oh, it's you," and then I felt bad for writing, like, "Why didn't you tag me?" But I didn't expect it to blow up, so it was crazy.
That's one thing that does bother me sometimes. It's like, especially I get it that it's harder. It's a lot harder for male talent, because I know a certain male talent who really wants to do more stuff, but it's kind of hard for me to get attention because he's newer and not with any agencies, whatever. But it's a lot harder for males. But they need to realize that they need to tag the female talent because of the fact that them doing that tag, whatever, is going to have them retweeted and just build that notoriety that this is a talent that does this and that. So
yeah, I believe respectfully.
I
respectfully like to tag people, but there's this weird wave in the industry where guys don't want to tag the female performers because they'll get more views if they don't know who it is. That's what they'll tell these girls. Whether it's true or not, I think you should tag them, especially everybody who is new needs to get tagged, because how, like you said, if you don't have an agent, people don't know you, tagging each other is the best way for us to get our interactions up, because right now for the industry, it's a lot of just networking between performers to get yourself out there.
I agree. And that's why I was telling this person also, was the fact that like they've only shot once with somebody,
Mm-hmm.
And I said, well, that person tagged him to it, but that person's screen name has changed since. And I'm like, so what you need to do is, re-release that and do this and that, whatever. And but yet, enough of that. Let's talk about you. So your second year, you're doing it with Freak Mob and stuff like that. What do you think so far in your? So we can't really count 2020. So in your 2 years of actually, being fully active, is your favorite scene so far? Hello? No, I have lost it. I'm going to pause for a second. It's okay. I had stopped it too. So the question I had asked before the little jump, I said, like, so far in the few years you've been in, what is your favorite scene so far?
Gosh, I don't even know. I feel like I really love the scene I did with Bella Doll.
Okay.
I don't know. It's hard for me to pick a favorite scene. It's just really, really hard for me to pick a favorite scene. I usually never have one to say, but honestly, when I shot with Bella Doll, she has so much energy. I think her and I looked really good in the outfits that were purchased for us. I just think with like the whole aesthetic of the scene is so nice. But I don't know. I really like all of the scenes I've done. There's only one scene I did where I was just a little bit misled on what I had to do, and I didn't think that I had to throw up for it. So I was very disheartened when I got there, and I was kind of misled and told that I, didn't have to throw up, even though I needed to. But I still, like, the scene still looks really good. I still look really good in it. So even if it wasn't something I wanted to do, it still turned out well. So yeah, I don't have any regrets. And I don't know, I really just love shooting. So I like all of them.
Okay, I mean, that's good. I mean, like, I was just wondering, because I know, like, some people have, like, a favorite scene they've got so far, or they have certain talents that they want to shoot with and stuff like that, or stuff that they want to do. But I know 2020 has thrown a big stone, a boulder in front of everybody's things that they had planned for this year. And I know it has hurt a lot of people's pockets.
Yeah, it's definitely been hard. I was supposed to travel to LA for a scene at the beginning of this year, but then when COVID hit, it ended up slowing everything down for me. But I've just been trying to stay afloat. I've been doing a lot more podcast, so that's definitely been helping.
Yeah, it was, and I jokingly say this now, but like I know, like when we were supposed to have our first one, like you did two after. I'm like, come on, we gotta get you on.
I know, I felt so bad, and who I was with today, I told them, I was like, I have to go and do this podcast because I just been playing like phone tag almost.
It's like, and this is still so nasty, but I was like, I want to be the one to pop your podcast cherry.
That's so funny. I mean, I've done other podcasts before those. I mean, I have been in for 3.5 years now, so I've done podcasts. It's just, I don't know, it's been so hard. I guess I see how girls get in the industry and leave so fast, because 1 out of 100 girls will blow up right away, and then the other 99 have to sit there and decide, should I have even gotten into this, or should I keep pursuing it? And most girls leave, but I'm happy I didn't give up, because I felt that at some point something would catch on. So it's all about perseverance.
And I know Chris always brings it up, that they have that 3-year glitch, whatever, people who join, and then they have 2 good years, whatever, and then they quit whatever. And the thing is, like, some people aren't here for the longevity; they're just in for a quick buck, whatever. And sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't. And depending on your agency, your look, and then other added aspects. I'm not going to get into that, but other added aspects of what people expect you to do as a talent, whatever. It really guides, what you can and what you cannot do. And that's why a lot of people only stay in it for so long, because, like, as I heard a performer say back in 2010, it's like, he was serious when he said this. He said, every day someone turns 18, which is true. And it's like, it's a horrible mentality, but that's how certain people see some girls in the industry. And it's like, if you don't want to do this, some girl turns 18 a day and she'll do it, and
that's honestly, that's what you're always told. That's what agents tell you right as you get in. That's what all the producers tell you. And there's no, like, forgiveness. There's no understanding in the mainstream part of it. So when girls jump in and they do directly just mainstream right away, it makes it really hard. And one of my first scenes was with Reality Kings, and I was completely unprepared for it. I had no clue what I was getting into. My very first scene was with Alex Adams, which kind of helped me, I guess, maybe get my feet wet, because he's a regular guy. He's really nice, and the scenes are run really smoothly. But, then you go to these big companies and they look right through you. And that makes it hard for a lot of these girls that get in. They don't know what they're getting into, so they quit right away. But if you really have a strong-willed mindset, and you do believe, and it's not how you start, it's how you finish, the industry is it's a great way to make a name for yourself. It's a great career avenue, but I do think a lot of people want to blow up right away and make money instantly, and that never works out.
I mean, there's a lot of politics. I'll say that.
Yeah.
And that really decides if you blow up early or you blow up later. And and even someone who I know who blew up later, whatever, they got a full attitude about, certain things. So it's always, weird. But what is your long-term plan? Do you plan on doing this forever? Do you plan on directing, producing your own stuff? Like, what is the Nauti plan?
Well, I like that, the Nauti plan. That almost sounds like a diet plan. But anyways, whenever I started in the industry, I really got into it because I love filming. I love cameras. I collect vintage cameras. I've always loved film and cinematography. So I've always wanted to get behind the camera. And that's kind of a reason why I shoot with Freak Mob Media a lot. I've done a lot of behind the scenes stuff for them as well.
Okay.
So even if I'm not doing something in front of the camera, I can still get some work with them. So I've always appreciated that. And it's really hard to get that with these big, huge, massive companies. So just to kind of get my feet wet with behind the scenes has been really nice, because that's always been my goal. I don't know, I don't even watch porn, to be honest with you, because it's just not intriguing to me. So for me to direct something, it has to be like a piece of art, I feel like. And that's something that's lost in the industry. And that's why I'm still okay with magazines. I love magazines still, but they almost make the girls like a piece of artwork still, instead of us just being like slaughter and we're just getting pushed through the line as quickly as possible. Like you said, another girl, turns 18 every day, and that's what we're always told. You were told it as soon as you got in. I was told it quickly into the industry. So I kind of wish that narrative would be changed a little bit. I wish they appreciated people that take the time to perform. It's not as if everybody is appreciated for what we do. It takes a lot of courage to be in any form of this industry. So I wish that narrative was pushed more.
In my opinion, I feel that there are a few things. One, I feel that, I agree with you that after a while, I can't watch it because I know so many people in the industry now. For being for as long as I have been. And then it's because depending on my relationship with certain models or performers and stuff like that, I just can't watch you anymore. It's like, don't get me wrong, I support everything you do. I don't mind, saying, hey, check out blah blah blah. But it's like I know your personal goals and stuff. I know what me and you hung out and you ate yesterday. I can't just, just say, okay, now let me pull up this scene of you and go to work,
Mm-hmm.
And even if then the fact that I edit people's videos and stuff like that, because of that, it's like, okay, I'm editing blah 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 video, and I'm getting it right, and because I'm so focused on editing, I'm not enjoying it really because I'm editing it. So it's kind of like yeah. Because that's when I was telling someone this morning, early this morning. It's like after a while, just seeing nudity is just like, okay, they naked.
Yeah.
And I jokingly say this now, but it's so real. It's like and this is gonna I'm sorry for y'all listening. This is gonna be very, very nasty. So you skip 10 seconds if you're not prepared for this. I can't get aroused unless I know I'm about to have sex with somebody, because it's like okay, it's just a wasted heart in my mind now. It's automatic, or like just a waste in my mind. It's kind of like okay, she's naked, okay, next. And unless I know someone's going to say, okay, Raw, you know what? I agree that you can have sex with me. other that's consent. People get that first.
Yep.
Anyway, it does nothing for me. And don't get me wrong. I love looking at the naked figure, but I'm not going to get aroused just from looking at you naked, and nothing's going to happen. And that's essentially we'll be taking pictures and recording it. People doing it. It's like, okay, I'm here, I'm just working.
Yeah, I don't know. I like the points that you brought up, because I am very much into the mind. I need to have a connection with somebody to get more aroused. So a body doesn't do much for me. I'm not visual enough for it to just arouse me instantly, which is probably why videos don't do much for me. But yeah, I do think of the human body as art. And sometimes with magazines, they really picture the woman's figure in such an artistic way that I'm more keen to a magazine than I would be a video. But I don't buy magazines. I don't have any of them. So it's like, I like my imagination. So I'm much more into, it's a mindset thing for me.
I know.
But I agree what you said. I support everybody still. I'll still share people's videos and retweet whatever people want me to. Even if it's not my kink, I will support it and get everybody else's videos and views out there.
I will retweet or share everybody's kink except for one kink, because I am afraid of that kink. So
Which kink is this?
I have this thing called apollophobia. I am very apolophobic. And
is that like holes and stuff?
feet. I am afraid of feet.
Oh.
Feet creep me out. They really creep me out. They creep me out. And
that's good to know.
I've said before, someone who I was with tried to give me a footsie, and it just killed it. Yeah, I can't. It just, I had to tell her to leave.
Like, get out.
I couldn't, like it's only the barefoot. Like if you're wearing stockings or socks, whatever, I can deal with, because it's a video of on YouTube of me giving somebody a foot, like was wearing stockings, whatever. I'm okay with that. But it's once the bare skin of the bare foot touches me, you ever like, you know, whenever you like have like a bug or something crawl on you and you like shrivel up for a second.
Yeah.
That's how I feel when someone's barefoot touches me.
It's so funny because I've been offered a lot of feet stuff, but I would never. I don't really give a shit. I'm not. It doesn't do anything for me. It's just like a hand.
It's the biggest kink there is. You know, it sells the most. But that's one that I don't get, and I'm into a lot of and I've said this on podcast before. I'm into a lot of random stuff. Some stuff I can't do anymore because of my neck injury, but I'm into a lot of random fanatic stuff, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just,
yeah, I guess I can't judge. Like, feet are pretty normal of a kink, so, and I love to do foot fetish scenes. I think they're the easiest scenes to do.
I will say this, because like a lot of the photography that I do some nude, but it's not. I always try to be the more stylistic side, because me and CW, we both do pictures, whatever, and you could tell the difference between mine and his. For me, like, I like the style where the person is not looking directly at me, but you can you can feel what they're doing. The style that CW does his is they're looking at him, but you can see in like the way he does it is you can see the sexuality they're bringing out, even if they're fully clothed, you know, and you can see like, look into their soul. And so we have that different style, a whole yin yang thing. That what makes what we do, you know, work, you know, and that's why everybody can say they could tell if I took the picture or CW took the picture because of our style. Unless it's a red carpet thing, but you could tell our different style is because of that, you know, and that's why like I do enjoy doing this and that, and I get it, whatever. So yeah. So honestly, we actually have hit our time, but it went so it actually went so fast now that we finally started. But I'm trying to make sure that I do bring up everything. First off, where can everybody find you, support you, buy your videos, buy? You know what I'm saying? Buy, people. B-U-Y. Not B-Y. I don't want you to, you know, go to some website and get it legally. I want you to buy. B-U-Y. Buy. What can people buy your buy anything that you're in, and even if they have to subscribe and pay to subscribe and support you.
Yes, I am at ManyVids and OnlyFans. Nauti Nala, Naudinala, and I'm on Xvideos and Pornhub as well, all with that same exact username. But you can support me on Twitter and Instagram as well. It's all Nauti Nala, Naudinala.
Okay, before I give my our social media, how did you come up with that name?
Okay, so I don't really care. I can share my real name. My real name is Kenya. So I wanted something that was more derivative of me, and my first stage name was Aviana Lace, which isn't bad, but I didn't feel close to it. So
That is the most random name in the world.
I got that name from one of the kids that I used to watch at an after-school program. But anyways, before I got booked with Freak Mom Media, and I wanted to just change my name. The scene I had shot with them before, the company told me, you need to change your name. Just they didn't like it, and I didn't really care. I had no attachment to it. So when I had came home after I shot those 2 scenes in Jersey, I was sitting with my friend. We went through Swahili baby name books, and Nauti had came up. I really liked it, but I added a U into the spelling because I wanted to be close with like water and like nautical, and it has a deeper meaning for me just doing NAU, but I really loved that it was a double entendre. So it's like, I'm a naughty person, naughty or nice. Let's do naughty things. But it's also a name. And it's the same exact pronunciation. So I was like, okay, naughty it is. And then I love lions. They're my favorite animal. My zodiac sign's a Leo. So it's like lions through and through for me. And I just picked a famous lion name. So I went with Nala. And that's how it was birthed.
Okay, I mean, like that is a very interesting way to. And do you speak Swahili? Do you happen to speak Swahili?
I don't. I wish I did. I want to be fluent in multiple languages. That's one of my dreams in life.
The reason I asked is I took Swahili in college. I took it for a semester.
Really?
I took Swahili for a semester, and I'm relearning it right now. And I got a minor in Ashanti.
No, that's my middle name actually. Well, it's Ashante, but
Ashanti is a village, well, the dialect of the people who live in Ghana, Africa. And I've actually been to Ghana, Africa. So I mean,
okay, that's so cool. My dad's stepbrother opened a hospital in Ghana.
My so like when I was doing Swahili, Gilango Rai. I'm sorry, my name is Rai.
Mm-hmm.
So and then when I was in Twee, I had to relearn it, and it didn't make Kwabena. My name was Kwabena, and my name was Kwabena, or my day name is the day I was born on. So I was born on Tuesday, so my name would be Kwabena, depending what day you were born on. And like I don't know if you know what day you were born on.
I was born on a Sunday.
You would be crazy. You'd be the SI one. Oh my God, it's been a while. I want to say it's Akazi or something like that. I forget.
Ooh, that's so cool though. I need to look into that. I didn't know the day of the week you were born would like have a factor.
Like it depends on what day you're born on. So yeah, I just looked at. I was right. Akazi. Yeah. Oh, that's male. Hold up. That's the male side. Hold up. Let me. I think I was right, certain sort of. But that's
you're still right in a way.
That's the day name for Sunday. Oh well.
It's so cool that you brought up the Ashanti dialect and everything, because my parents wanted to do more of a African name to honor that side of our heritage, and they chose Kenya Ashanti. They didn't want to do Ashanti because they didn't like how it sounded with the I, so they just changed it a little bit. But that's just so random that is the one you would have brought up, because that's exactly what my name was based off of.
Quasaba or Akosa.
Akosa or Quasada?
That would have been.
That's cool.
Yeah, because I'm Kwabena, and I was close. The guy's name. It's like I haven't had to speak it since 2006.
You still know more than most people, so it's honorable.
So,
There's
like,
no way I would have known any of that.
My favorite of the day names would be Wednesday for the guy, which is quite cool. I just love that.
Ooh, that's cool.
And then Friday, which is a Fia for girls.
Oh.
But and
dang.
then they just
That's
gave
so
me
interesting.
a Swahili name, which they gave me R-A-I. But that was But I am going to throw this out there. Everybody, if you want to follow us, we are the Burbank Misfits on Instagram, Burbank Misfits on Facebook and on Twitter. We are at www.burbankmisfits.com, which says everything that me and SW does. He's a personal trainer, a photographer. I do everything that deals with a computer. I'm a nerd, so website design, computer graphics, stuff like that. That's all on there. It says everything that you do as far as photography also. If you want to follow me directly, I am at Rawstarr, Rawstarr, on Twitter and on Instagram. He's not here right now because he's in an accident, and I hope he's okay. But he is Christopher _Willie _J on Instagram. And his gym is CC Fitness LA. That's on Twitter and on Instagram. That's his gym. You want to get a direct workout from him. He's in North Hollywood, and he does have discounts all the time. And if you're a porn performer out there, he does have a special that's for you all, and he has trained many performers. So thanks for tuning in. Nala, Naughty lady. Thank you for blessing us with your appearance today, and thank you.
Thank you so much.